Watch where you're going, kid. The words came out sharper than intended, slicing through the quiet air of the parking lot. Ethan Blake, tech millionaire, founder of Blake Robotics, was not used to being interrupted. He'd just left a high-stakes meeting that could double his company's value, and the last thing he expected was a kid bumping into him while he was checking his phone. The boy, maybe 9 years old, froze. His small hands clutched a crumpled paper bag, and his wide brown eyes stared up, a mix of fear and defiance. "You bumped into me first," he said softly, then turned as if to walk away. Ethan's eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me?" The boy didn't reply. He kept walking, head down. Something about that tone, quiet, steady, but not disrespectful, made Ethan's irritation twist into curiosity. He called after him, "Hey, what's your name?" The boy hesitated but didn't turn around. "Malik." "Malik," Ethan repeated, walking toward him. "You always talk to adults like that?" Malik finally faced him. "Only the ones who don't see where they're going." For a moment, Ethan didn't know whether to be angry or impressed. The kid had guts. But then he noticed Malik's clothes, worn-out sneakers, a jacket too big for his small frame, and eyes that looked older than they should. Before Ethan could respond, a security guard approached. "Everything okay, sir?" he asked, eyeing Malik suspiciously. Ethan hesitated, about to dismiss the boy, but Malik's expression shifted from confidence to fear. "I didn't do anything," he whispered. "It's fine," Ethan said quickly, surprising even himself. "He's with me." The guard looked confused but nodded and walked away. Ethan turned back. "You hungry?" Malik shrugged. "Depends who's asking." "Someone who owes you an apology," Ethan replied. Minutes later, they sat in a nearby diner. Malik devoured a plate of pancakes like he hadn't eaten in days. Ethan pretended to scroll through emails, but he was studying the boy, his guardedness, his silence, his small hands trembling slightly every time a server passed by. "So, Malik," Ethan began, "where are your parents?" The boy froze, fork halfway to his mouth. "Don't have any." Ethan's heart sank. "You mean—" "I live with my grandma," Malik interrupted quickly, "when she's feeling okay." The tone said everything. She wasn't okay. Ethan nodded slowly. "What about school?" Malik pushed the plate away, his appetite suddenly gone. "I go when I can." Ethan wanted to ask more, but Malik's eyes had gone cold again, that invisible wall back in place. Then Malik looked up. "You're that robot guy, right? The one who makes machines to do people's jobs." The comment stung more than it should have. "I make machines to help people," Ethan replied. "My mom used to clean buildings," Malik said quietly. "She said one of your robots replaced her. That's when she got sick." Ethan blinked. "Your mom worked for—" "Blake Robotics," Malik finished. "She used to come home so tired she could barely stand. When she lost her job, she said it was okay, that she'd rest for a while. She never went back." The diner suddenly felt colder. Ethan had heard hundreds of stories about how automation had changed lives, but never one told like this. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "She died last year," Malik said, almost whispering. "Grandma says it wasn't your fault, but every time I see your face on those billboards, I remember hers." Ethan didn't know what to say. The confidence, the anger in Malik's eyes. It wasn't disrespect. It was pain. "Why didn't you say that from the start?" Ethan asked quietly. "Because people like you don't listen," Malik said simply. The words hit harder than any accusation. Ethan stared at the table, memories of press conferences, investors, and factory tours flashing through his mind. He'd built a company that promised progress, but maybe at a cost he'd never stopped to measure. Then Malik pulled something from his bag, a folded photograph. "That's her," he said, pushing it toward Ethan. The picture showed a young woman in a janitor's uniform holding Malik as a baby. Her smile was wide, proud, unstoppable. Ethan's throat tightened. He recognized the background. It was the old Blake robotics warehouse. "She worked there for 6 years," Malik said. "She used to tell me you were a good man, that you started from nothing too." "I did," Ethan whispered. "So why'd you forget what it feels like to have nothing?" The question sliced through him like glass. For the first time in years, Ethan couldn't hide behind success or logic. He saw himself, young, broke, sleeping in his car, praying for one chance. And now, sitting across from him, was a kid who reminded him exactly who he used to be. He exhaled shakily. "What's your grandma's name?" "Elaine Johnson." Ethan nodded slowly. "Where does she live?" Malik hesitated. "Why?" "Because," Ethan said, his voice steady, "I think I owe her more than an apology." 2 days later, Ethan stood in front of a crumbling apartment complex in Southside. The hallway smelled of old paint and disinfectant. Malik opened the door, and inside, an elderly woman sat in a wheelchair by the window, her breathing labored but her eyes alert. "Mrs. Johnson," Ethan said softly, "my name is—" "I know who you are," she interrupted with a faint smile. "My daughter talked about you all the time." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "I came to say I'm sorry for everything that happened." Mrs. Johnson nodded slowly. "Regret doesn't fix the past, Mr. Blake, but it can change the future." Those words stayed with him. Over the next few weeks, Ethan quietly paid for Elaine's medical treatment, moved them into a new home, and started something that would change his company forever, the Human Restoration Program. Instead of replacing workers, it would retrain and rehire them. For every robot built, one new job would be created. Months later, Malik stood on stage beside Ethan at the program's launch event. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, but Malik didn't flinch. "This young man," Ethan said, placing a hand on Malik's shoulder, "reminded me what real intelligence looks like. It's not in machines, it's in people, with courage, compassion, and truth." The crowd erupted in applause. Malik smiled for the first time since they met. After the event, Ethan asked him, "What would your mom think of this?" Malik looked up, eyes bright. "She'd say you finally listened." Ethan laughed softly. "And your grandma?" "She'd say it's about time." As they walked off the stage together, Ethan realized something profound. Success wasn't about how many people admired you. It was about how many people's lives got better because you cared enough to change. And sometimes all it takes is one brave child to remind a man of everything he forgot.